What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes news for October 3rd, 2023. So we have the official skill card, of course missing percentages, but hopefully between yesterday's Datamine video and today's skill card, we can have a better idea of what to expect from this hero. Overall, it sounds very similar to what we talked about yesterday, but let's go over what the official post is, and then we can start guessing if this hero might have enough damage to be like an option as a first E5 hero, especially kind of like along the lines of Tix. Tix was very special. Gaggie doesn't seem to have any self-sustain, but we'll see if that changes. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get going. So like I said, most of this is pretty much just confirmation from the Datamine information we have. Now the percentages can change, but let's take a look at Gaggie. Yes, the name is still Gaggie. I don't know. So yeah, Taste My Bomb, kind of an inappropriate name, but okay. Deals attack damage to frontline enemies and reduces the volcanic bomb countdown on all enemies. That's pretty good. If there's bombs on random targets, it'll still count down on them. Afterward, inflicts volcanic bomb with a cooldown on several random enemies. So that right there says several random, whereas in the Datamine, it sounded like it was just like the highest HP, if I remember correctly. You know, we can actually kind of compare that side by side here. Let me go. We got some other stuff in this folder, my bad. So yeah, in the Datamine it says one random, but if we jump back over here, it's actually saying several random enemies. Now that is really good. Now this could be like the V4 version of the skill, whereas the other one that we were reading is like the base version. We don't know necessarily. I don't know what information we're able to pull from the Datamine. I just know that's what we had. If it is several enemies, that is a huge boost to the amount of damage that Gaggie can do, especially with his active skill. Volcanic Bomb skill effect, so the countdown is reduced automatically each round, and Volcanic Bomb explodes when the countdown reaches a certain number. 0, dealing damage to all enemies. Besides that, burns the target, dealing damage equal to a certain percentage of target's max HP for several rounds, caps at a certain percentage of attack, with a chance to stun them for several rounds. Again, if we come back over here and take a look at this here, very similar effect. The countdown is reduced by 1 each round, explodes when 0. This is the only difference, is this actually shows the percentage from yesterday, that it's not just a flat amount to all enemies, it's a percentage based on how many enemies are alive. So if there's only a single target alive, is going to do the full 3600. And of course the burn sounds like the same. This says 100% chance. This technically does not. We'll have to see. And of course, there can only be one bomb on any target at one time. But again, if you have multiple bombs out and they end up going off, they're dealing damage to everybody, which is pretty significant. If like your active skill can get 2 bombs out, that's a lot of AoE damage when the countdown ticks. And I think a very tanky hero will be able to survive that. Maybe even a balanced strike, golden crown type setup in the early game. We'll have to test it out. We got plenty of accounts to test it on this weekend, which is going to be fun. This kind of confirms the Datamine information we have. Increased HP, attack, damage reduction, control immunity. In there it said 50% HP and like 35% damage reduction, which is solid. Lava's punch passive skill changes the basic attack to deals damage to frontline enemies and steals armor from them for several rounds. That was like 50% armor, so it's going to be a lot of armor this hero is going to be able to stack up, which is really good. The only downside, I wish this also applied 1 volcanic bomb. Honestly, it feels like it would be a lot more useful if it did, but it doesn't. But there are other ways to get volcanic bomb onto enemies, and that is race lava. At the beginning of each battle, when self is in battle as a substitute trial champion, inflicts volcanic bomb with the countdown on several enemies with the highest HP. So again, this says several enemies, whereas in the Datamine, it just said the enemy with the highest HP. So if we are able to get multiples of these out at the beginning of the battle, multiple out when we're using our active skill, that is that's literally more than doubling the damage potential of your team. And if it goes to even more than 2, then that's just really crazy AoE damage. I'm hopeful for this hero right now. When Self dies, deals attack damage to all enemies. Besides that, burns the target, dealing damage equal to a certain percentage of the target's max HP. For several rounds, caps at a certain percentage, probably 1500%, and removes all volcanic bombs. So when it removes it, I don't think those are going to trigger. It's just going to be he's going to trigger, essentially. He himself is a bomb when he dies. When taking damage dealt by active skills, you deal a certain percentage of attack damage to the attacker and inflicts volcanic bomb. So this is the big thing. It's only active skills, but the fact that just being able to tank a lot of hits, steal armor with a base attack, and then throw out tons of bombs, this could get out of hand really quickly and might be very, very strong. So that's really good. If the target already has a volcanic bomb, reduces the cooldown instead. Again, that's really good. Making that 3-turn timer count down just by taking active skills is really good. And it says, though, this effect can only be triggered once each round. So we've heard that term happen before. This can only happen once each round. However, a lot of times that is not the case. Usually it's like it can only happen once per enemy type thing. That is going to be a big part to have to see how that turns out, because even when we jump over here to the Datamine file, I think it said this can only trigger once each round. That's going to be really, really interesting. And again, here this basically says when taking damage from active skills, deals damage to the attacker and inflicts one bomb. That's interesting. Right here at the beginning passage said beginning each battle itself as a substitute, inflicts bomb with a countdown, whereas all the things we're seeing here say several enemies. Even here on this one, it says several random enemies. So this one is random. This one is several enemies with the highest HP. So it's kind of like a smart one at the beginning of the battle. It's going to go on like the boss mobs, things like that. I'm feeling hopeful for this hero. And then lastly, we have who his tenants are going to be. If you want to be able to build him, is this good? Well, you know, the Transcendence version of him with a Transcendence version of Ilamok might be a pretty solid combo when you get to a 2-hero Transcendence hero setup. But again, we'll have to see who his Transcendence tenants are. If Hyperspace Hunter Ilamok is not one of his tenants, then it's not great. If Hyperspace Hunter is, then that is a really good bonus. Vulcan and Mockman, I mean, you can use either one of those to get your Sealand done. This is where it gets a little weaker, though. These two are bad. So he's also, it sounds like, the #1 tenant for regular Ilamok and #3 tenant for, I don't even know who that translation's supposed to be, but it does sound like he's going to be tenant spot #3 for mutated fungus G-ster, if that matters. And then it also says #4 tenant for Natasha and Mockman. So it sounds like right now he's only a tenant for a single Transcendence hero, and that's G-ster, and that's not really great. But let's wait and see. Later this month, we'll see the Transcendence version of him, and we'll get to see who his tenants are and who he's tenant for. Maybe it'll work out. We'll have to see. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 90,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys next time.